What if Donald Trump and Xi Jinping weren't actually enemies? What if everything we've seen, the tweets, the tariffs, the press conferences, was just part of a performance, a well-choreographed show for the world? Trump once called Xi a brilliant guy who rules China with an iron fist. But this same Trump imposed the toughest trade sanctions on China in modern US history. So, are they really at odds? Or could it be that behind closed doors, they're not just shaking hands, they're laughing? Let's dive into the bizarre, complicated, and possibly manipulative relationship between two of the most powerful men on Earth, and how they may be turning the global economic game into a personal advantage. For years, we've been told that the US and China are locked in a fierce rivalry. Trade wars, tech bans, spying allegations, sanctions. It's the classic East versus West narrative. Trump painted China as the villain in almost every speech. He accused them of stealing intellectual property, manipulating currency, and spreading global chaos. Meanwhile, China fired back, calling the US a bully, trying to suppress its rise. On the surface, it all looks like a clash of titans. But when you zoom in, things get strange. Let's rewind to the 2019 G20 summit. The world expected tension. Instead, Trump and Xi were all smiles. Trump said, "We have an excellent relationship, probably better than any presidents before me." Wait, isn't this the same guy who just slapped hundreds of billions in tariffs on China? That's the first red flag. While Trump's public rhetoric screamed economic war, his personal tone toward Xi was oddly friendly, almost admiring. Xi, in turn, remained stoic, but never attacked Trump directly. The insults were always aimed at the US government or Western interference, never Trump himself. It's like they both needed each other to win at home. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The trade war hurt global markets. Stocks dropped, supply chains cracked. But what happened to China? It adapted fast. The Chinese government doubled down on internal manufacturing and built more resilience. And what about the US? Despite the noise, major American companies continued doing business with China, even expanding their operations. Behind the scenes, while politicians shouted, corporations quietly collaborated, and Trump, he used the China threat as a campaign weapon. He positioned himself as the only one strong enough to take on the communist giant. His base loved it. It worked. Meanwhile, Xi used the same conflict to rally national unity, telling Chinese citizens, "We are under attack. We must become stronger." And they did. So ask yourself, if both sides are gaining power and popularity from the conflict, is it really a conflict or a political strategy? Now here's the fun or terrifying part. Imagine them in a private room far from cameras and microphones. Trump leans back and says, "I tweet crazy stuff, markets crash, you play calm, your economy grows." Xi nods, half smiling, and the world believes we're enemies. Perfect. Sound absurd, maybe, but history is full of unlikely alliances. In World War II, the US and Soviet Union joined forces to defeat the Nazis, only to become enemies weeks later. In politics, today's enemy can be tomorrow's handshake. It's all about timing and optics. Trump and Xi may never be actual friends, but they clearly understood how to use each other to serve their domestic agendas, a public rivalry, a private advantage. Even during the TikTok drama, when Trump threatened to ban the app, American tech companies were quietly negotiating deals behind the scenes. Even Huawei, while blacklisted, kept parts of its supply chain alive through legal loopholes and indirect partners. So while we were watching the drama on TV, deals were being made in the background. And this isn't just about Trump or Xi, it's about the bigger game. Global leaders, especially from superpowers, don't always play by the rules. They create the rules, and sometimes they create the drama. So, could it be that the economic chaos of the past years wasn't an unfortunate consequence, but part of the plan? Maybe the tariffs weren't about hurting China, but about shifting US attention. Maybe the bans weren't about national security, but about control. And maybe, just maybe, they were both laughing. At us, at the media, at the system. The scary truth is, we might never know. What we see is what we're allowed to see. The rest, that's behind the curtain. So now I'll ask you, do you think Trump and Xi were really enemies? Or brilliant co-stars in a global show? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're interested in how world leaders manipulate crises for power, check out our next video. It's all about how chaos is the best tool in politics. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Because in a world of secrets and spin, staying informed is your best defense.